I'm sorry, Maddie, but you need to get tested too. Those were the words my girlfriend Lana whispered the morning after her innocent night out with friends, eyes red, voice shaking, the kind of trembling that only comes from guilt trying to hold itself upright. She had no idea that while she was rambling excuses, I already had the proof. The text. The photo. The name of the guy she'd slept with. And the plan I'd been quietly building ever since the night she came home smelling like someone else's cologne. What happened next shattered more than trust. It exposed a chain of secrets, lies, and betrayals so twisted it made me question whether I even knew the woman I'd been living with. Viewers, have you ever felt reality collapse under your feet because of someone you trusted? Tell me how you handled it in the comment. Please forget to subscribe, like, comment, and watch till the ending to share this interesting story to family and friend. My name is Matty Bob, 29 years old, a freelance videographer based in Denver, Colorado, and the kind of guy who spends more time behind a camera than in front of anything resembling a stable life. I've always believed every story has a structure, an inciting incident, rising tension, a point of no return, but nothing prepared me for becoming the protagonist of my own collapse. It started the morning I woke up to a text from my wife, Lana, a text that read like a spark in a room full of invisible gasoline. She wrote, "Before you decide anything, you need to know what Trevor told me about you." And somehow, even before I understood what she meant, the words hit me with the weight of something ancient and inevitable. That morning light crept across the bed in thin, cold stripes, illuminating the empty side where Lana hadn't slept again. She'd been claiming extra shifts at the hospital, but the more her excuses piled up, the more they started feeling rehearsed. I reached for my phone and saw the earlier messages she'd sent while I was asleep. "Maddie, we need to talk today. It's serious." Then, "Please don't freak out." It's strange how the body recognizes disaster before the brain does. My stomach sank, my hands went still, and in that quiet, suspended moment, I felt reality shift, not violently but subtly like a floorboard loosening beneath my feet. Something was wrong. Something had been wrong for a long time. And today it wasn't hiding anymore. I leave the bed unmade and wander into the kitchen, the floor cold against my feet. While the coffee machine sputters, my mind drifts back to the night everything started shifting in ways I didn't understand yet. 2 nights earlier, Lana went to a friend's birthday party. A party I was supposed to attend, but a last-minute client emergency had me stuck in front of my computer, editing footage until well past midnight. She kissed me goodbye at the door, quick, distracted, her eyes darting to her phone like she was already somewhere else. I told myself I imagined it. I've been doing that a lot lately. The flashback comes like a camera pan. Warm gold lights, the messy pulse of music, people laughing, Lana in a black dress she hadn't worn in years. A dress she once said made her feel dangerously young. She was glowing in a way that almost looked rehearsed. I only saw snippets later. Photos friends posted, her smile too wide, the way she leaned into someone's shoulder in one of the blurry images. At first glance it looked innocent. But the longer I stared, the more I saw it. The closeness, the familiarity, the ease of 2 people who weren't strangers. Back then, I didn't let myself think more about it. I told myself she was finally enjoying a night out after months of stress. But even then, something small and sharp had pierced the back of my mind. A tiny voice whispering that maybe this wasn't just a party. Maybe this was the moment the ground started to shift beneath us. And I hadn't even realized I was already losing balance. Please forget to subscribe. I step into my office to avoid pacing a groove into the kitchen tile, and that's when my phone buzzes again. "Lana, I went to an appointment yesterday. I didn't tell you because I didn't know how." An appointment? My mind trips over that word. She told me she worked a double shift yesterday. I scan the message again, slow this time, feeling my pulse crawl higher in my throat. Something cold settles in my gut. She follows with another text before I can type anything back. "Something happened at the party." And that's when the memory shutters open wider, revealing corners I hadn't looked at before. I drop into my desk chair and my eyes fall on the framed photo of us from 3 years ago, our wedding day. Lana looks young, hopeful, anchored. I look like someone who believed he could protect her from anything. Back then, trust felt easy. She used to call me her safe place, said she never felt judged around me. But somewhere over the last year, something inside her shifted. She started talking about missing excitement, saying I was married to my camera more than to her. I brushed it off as stress. She hated conflict, always swallowed her feelings until they came out sideways. I should have seen the warning signs, but I chose not to. Avoidance is its own betrayal, I guess. My phone buzzes again. "Can you come home after your meeting?" I need to explain everything in person. I don't have a meeting. I haven't had one scheduled all week. I stare at the screen, feeling the truth tightening around me like a too small shirt. Lana hadn't been working extra shifts. She'd been hiding something. Something big enough to require a doctor's visit, and a confession she was terrified to say out loud. When I finally pull into the driveway later that afternoon, the sky hangs low and gray, like it knows something is about to break. The house feels unfamiliar as I walk toward the door, too quiet, too still, like a place paused mid-breath. When I step inside, Lana is sitting on the edge of the couch, elbows on her knees, hands clenched together so tightly her knuckles look bleached. She doesn't look up right away. She just whispers, "Maddie, I messed up." The words fall out of her like stones, heavy and inevitable. I stand there for a long second, letting the silence stretch between us, thick and humming like a live wire. Part of me expects the denial, some excuse, some twisted version of the truth that softens the impact. Lana has always been good at softening things, even her own guilt. But today she looks different. Smaller. Frayed at the edges. "I made a mistake," she says again, her voice cracking on the last word. I keep my voice steady. Too steady. "What kind of mistake?" She finally lifts her eyes and I see fear in them. Not fear of losing me, fear of facing what she's about to say. "I slept with someone at the party." The words echo in the room. No screams. No thrown objects. Just a cold quiet settling between us. My heartbeat doesn't even spike. It sinks. A memory flashes. My mother crying in the kitchen when I was 12, my father standing rigid and silent, refusing to admit what everyone already knew. I swore I'd never repeat that cycle. Never be the cheater. Never be the one cheated on. But here I am, standing in the same silence, only on the opposite side of history. Before I can respond, Lana whispers, "There's more, Maddie?" She swallows hard. "I tested positive for something. Please don't forget to subscribe." When I finally pull into the driveway later that afternoon, the sky hangs low and gray, like it knows something is about to break. The house feels unfamiliar as I walk toward the door, too quiet, too still, like a place paused mid-breath. When I step inside, Lana is sitting on the edge of the couch, elbows on her knees, hands clenched together so tightly her knuckles look bleached. She doesn't look up right away. She just whispers, "Maddie, I messed up." The words fall out of her like stones, heavy and inevitable. I stand there for a long second, letting the silence stretch between us, thick and humming like a live wire. Part of me expects the denial, some excuse, some twisted version of the truth that softens the impact. Lana has always been good at softening things, even her own guilt. But today she looks different. Smaller. Frayed at the edges. "I made a mistake," she says again, her voice cracking on the last word. I keep my voice steady. Too steady. "What kind of mistake?" She finally lifts her eyes and I see fear in them. Not fear of losing me, fear of facing what she's about to say. "I slept with someone at the party." The words echo in the room. No screams. No thrown objects. Just a cold quiet settling between us. My heartbeat doesn't even spike. It sinks. A memory flashes. My mother crying in the kitchen when I was 12, my father standing rigid and silent, refusing to admit what everyone already knew. I swore I'd never repeat that cycle. Never be the cheater. Never be the one cheated on. But here I am, standing in the same silence, only on the opposite side of history. Before I can respond, Lana whispers, "There's more, Maddie?" She swallows hard. "I tested positive for something." Her silence stretches into something brittle and dangerous, like a thin layer of ice about to crack beneath us both. I lean forward, elbows on my knees, and repeat, slower this time, "Lana, who was it?" She opens her mouth, closes it, and then opens it again, like she's trying to convince herself of the right version of the truth. Finally she whispers, "It wasn't Dallas." My jaw tightens because the fact that she leads with that name means it crossed her mind, means she expected me to assume it. But the way she avoids my eyes tells me the real answer is worse. Much worse. She inhales like it physically hurts. "It was Trevor." I feel the world tilt slightly as though someone pulled the ground an inch to the left. Trevor. My friend. The guy who brought me half the clients that helped me survive my first year as a freelancer. The guy who used to sleep on our couch when he couldn't afford rent. The guy I defended when people said he was reckless, unreliable, impulsive. My friend. A memory floods in without warning. 3 months ago, him and Lana laughing in our kitchen over some stupid meme he showed her. I remember the way she threw her head back, fully, freely, a laugh she hadn't given me in months. I remember brushing it off as friendly banter. God, how blind was I? He said it was a mistake, she whispers. He said it didn't mean anything. The words taste rotten in the air. I think about the nights Trevor canceled plans last minute, the new cologne, the sudden gym obsession, the way he started calling me brother again after years of not saying it. I thought he was reconnecting. Turns out he was hiding. Before I can speak, my phone buzzes on the table. I glance down. Trevor, can we talk? I screwed up. My pulse spikes, not from anger but from the confirmation that everything I feared is real, and everything Lana hasn't said yet is even worse. Because confessions don't end where you expect. They only begin there. And something in her expression tells me the deepest cut hasn't even been revealed. Yet please don't forget to subscribe. I don't answer Trevor's message. I just turn the phone face down on the table because if I look at his name for one more second, I might break the calm I've been holding onto like a lifeline. Instead, I get up and walk to my office, the one place in the house that still feels like mine. The door clicks shut behind me, muting the sound of Lana softly crying in the living room. I should feel something about that. Shame, rage, grief. But all I feel is clarity. A cold, steady clarity that scares even me. My eyes drift to the camera equipment stacked neatly on the shelves. Cameras never lie. People do. And suddenly, a thought hits me so fast it almost knocks the air out of my lungs. 3 weeks ago, Lana borrowed one of my compact action cams. She said she wanted to record her fitness journey for motivation, maybe even start a small TikTok series. She returned it 2 days later, claiming she didn't end up filming anything. I cross the room, pull the camera from the shelf like I'm disarming an explosive, and slide out the SD card. My hands aren't shaking. They should be, but they're not. I insert the card into my computer and folders pop up instantly. There are videos, dozens, all time-stamped from the night of the party. As I click the first file, a slow dread expands inside my chest. The screen flickers, revealing shaky, drunk party footage, crowded rooms, loud music, Lana laughing. But then, in the corner of the frame I see him. Trevor. Watching her. Hovering near her like gravity itself is pulling them together. I click to the next clip. Then the next. The timeline jumps to 2 silhouettes in a hallway, her hand in his mouth on her neck. Not drunk. Not stumbling. They move with intent. With secrecy. And just as I'm about to close the window, a final video catches my eye. A clip from much later in the night, labeled automatically by the camera as 00047.mp4. The thumbnail alone makes my stomach drop. Because this video isn't just proof. It's a conversation. And the last frame shows Trevor whispering something into Lana's ear, something that looks like a confession of its own. I click on the final video and the sound hits me first, muffled but unmistakably intimate. The lighting is dim, the camera angled awkwardly as if Lana set it down on a shelf without realizing it was recording. The frame captures only legs, shadows, the hem of her dress, the shape of Trevor's jeans. But their voices are clear enough to carve into me. Lana whispers breathless, "Are you sure no one will find out?" Trevor chuckles, soft, confident. "Relax. Maddie trusts us. He always has." The words punch through me so hard I have to grip the edge of my desk. My trust wasn't just broken. It was used. Weaponized. I listen, unable to tear my eyes away from the damn screen even though every second feels like ethanol sliding over raw nerves. Then Trevor's tone shifts, low, almost smug. "Besides, I didn't use anything. Told you nothing would happen." My blood goes ice cold. Lana's voice trembles, not angry, not shocked, excited. "Trevor, you're insane." He laughs again. "You love it." I pause the video. My reflection flickers faintly on the screen, and for the first time all day, something sharp ignites behind my ribs. Rage, yes, but more than that. Betrayal layered upon betrayal. This wasn't a drunken slip. It wasn't an accident. It was a choice repeated and rehearsed. I scroll back through earlier videos and more patterns emerge. His hand lingering at her waist, her leaning into him like she belonged there, inside jokes exchanged with their eyes long before the alcohol blurred the edges of the night. This was an affair, not a mistake. And the longer I watch, the clearer it becomes. They weren't just hiding what they did. They were hiding how long they'd been doing it. But the worst part isn't the cheating. Or the disease. It's the last whispered line at the end of the video. Because as the clip fades, Trevor says quietly, "He'll never find out, unless you tell him why it really happened." Penned. Please don't forget to sue. Subscribe. I sit there staring at the frozen frame of Trevor's face in the last clip, half lit, half shadow, like a man caught between who he pretends to be and who he actually is. My pulse is steady. Too steady. The kind of calm that feels like it's holding back something volcanic beneath the surface. I close the laptop gently, almost politely, then stand and walk back into the living room. Lana looks up fast, eyes red, her body curled small on the couch like she's bracing for impact. She probably expects screaming, accusations, the kind of chaos she's seen in movies. But I'm quiet. Controlled. And that scares her more than anything. I sit across from her, placing my phone on the table as if this is just another difficult conversation between spouses instead of the collapse of everything we built. I watch the videos, I say, voice flat. Her breath hitches. Maddie, don't, I cut in. Don't lie. Don't soften it. Just tell me the truth. She wipes her face with shaky hands. It wasn't supposed to happen. We crossed a line months ago, but we stopped. We did. We stopped, Maddie. But the night of the party, you planned it, I say quietly. This wasn't a drunken accident. She flinches like I slapped her, but she doesn't deny it. And that tells me more than any dramatic confession ever could. I take a slow breath, grounding myself. My father once told me that being calm in a storm is a form of dominance. At the time, I thought it was toxic advice. Now I realize it's survival. I'm done, I say, voice steady. I'm not fighting. I'm not begging. I'm just acknowledging reality. Lana covers her face with both hands, sobbing harder. Maddie, please. You don't understand. Trevor, he said things. He told me things about you. Things I didn't know how to process. I stare at her, frozen. What things? She pulls her hands away, face blotchy, eyes pleading. I didn't want to believe him, but he said you'd been hiding stuff too. That you weren't who I thought. That's why Stop. My voice is low, controlled, but sharp enough to cut through her words. You're not shifting this onto me. She reaches for me, but I stand before her fingers can touch my knee. I grab a duffel bag from the hallway closet and begin packing. A few shirts. My laptop. My camera. Toothbrush. Charger. I move quietly, methodically, like someone performing a task they rehearsed in their head long before today. Behind me, Lana's voice cracks. You're making a mistake. There's more you don't know. But I zip the bag shut without looking at her. Then you can live with it, I say. Because I'm done living with this. I walk out. Her sobs follow me down the hallway. But for the first time in months, the air feels clear. I drive without knowing where I'm going, the city lights streaking across the windshield like blurred memories I don't want to revisit. Eventually, I end up in the parking lot of a cheap hotel off Colfax, a place with flickering neon and peeling paint, the kind of anonymity I suddenly crave. I sit in the car for a long moment, hands gripping the steering wheel, the air thick with everything I didn't say back in that living room. When I finally step out, the cold slaps me awake. It's grounding, almost comforting. Inside the room, the silence is louder than Lana's sobs. I drop my bag onto the chair and sink onto the edge of the bed, elbows on my knees. My mind is a reel of fractured images. Trevor's smirk, Lana's trembling hands, my own reflection in that last video frame. I thought the betrayal was the climax of this story, but now it feels like just the midpoint. A setup for something darker pulling at strings behind the scenes. I take out my phone, ignoring the dozens of missed calls and frantic messages from Lana. One unread text from Trevor sits at the top. Just talk to me, man. Please. I delete it without replying. Then I scroll to the clinic website Lana's papers came from. I schedule my own test for the morning. The confirmation email pops up instantly, sterile and impersonal. Unlike the truth choking the back of my throat. I lie back on the stiff hotel mattress staring at the ceiling. And that's when the reflection hits me, how painfully familiar this feels. My father, sitting alone in a motel after my mother found out. The same stoic quiet. The same unraveling. Except he was the one who betrayed. I'm the one who got betrayed. Somehow that hurts just as much. Hours pass. The sky outside darkens, then deepens, then bruises purple. My phone buzzes again, a final message from Lana. Before you walk away for good, you need to know what Trevor told me about you. I'm not lying. You deserve to hear it. I stare at the screen, feeling the smallest spark of dread flicker to life. What could Trevor possibly say about me? What lie did he plant? What truth did he twist? I don't respond. Not yet. Some truths need silence before they're confronted. I turn the phone face down and breathe in the cold hotel air, trying to steady the chaos inside me. This fallout is only beginning. Friends will choose sides, clients might get tangled in Trevor's mess, and Lana, she's still holding on to something. Something she thinks will change everything. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. But one thing is certain. This story isn't over. Not bye. A long shot. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share for more interesting stories.